Marty. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Thank you guys for a wonderful podcast. It's always entertaining. Love hearing the interviews, love hearing new music that I may never have known about before. And thank you also for including fan support and fan submissions. I always love to hear those, and thanks for including me on that. And I'm looking forward to another 100 episodes.
I just wanted to say thanks to the Super Marcato Brothers for sharing all the great music and also all of their knowledge about music. That's definitely one of the biggest reasons why I listen to the podcast. It's not just that they share great video game music, but they also know a lot about the sort of techniques and theory behind the music that they're playing. And that's very interesting to sort of hear about and learn.
Hey, this is video game composer and creator of Video Games Live, Tommy Tellerico, and I want to wish the Super Marcato Brothers a happy 100th episode. Are you kidding me?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? You're listening to the 100th episode of the Super Marcato Brothers Video Game Music Podcast.
We've really come a long way. Thanks so much for joining us on this very exciting video episode. How's it going, everybody? My name is Carl Brueggemann.
And I'm Will Brueggemann, and we're joined with the lovely Marty Brueggemann.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on this special celebration.
Absolutely.
We wouldn't want to do it without you, man.
This is so exciting. It's a little different for us to be, in front of a camera, but hopefully you guys enjoy this. If you're listening to the RSS feed, you should be aware that we are posting a video version of this episode to our YouTube channel, so feel free to head over there and check it out.
Yeah, there's going to be some awesome visual components to today's special 100th episode that you're really not going to want to miss. I think the podcast will still be enjoyable if you listen to it in its audio version, but yeah, I really think you're going to want to check out this video because we have some cool stuff planned later on.
Yeah, I think in general this episode is going to be a lot more laid back in nature. It's going to be kind of a reflection of this podcast, 100 episodes. We kind of want to talk about the history of it, the inception of, how we started it, and just, relive some fun moments. So I think this is just going to be a chill, we're just sitting on a couch talking pretty much for an hour, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But isn't that what we always do, really?
Yeah, just so you guys know, this is the Super Marcato Brothers HQ. I know it looks like an apartment, but it's actually...
this is ground zero right here.
Yeah.
We usually don't record most episodes here. There's usually another room that we record them in. But anytime we have Marty, this is usually the room we record in.
We have this lovely, really nice couch. Very spacious.
It is comfortable. Sometimes it's easy to just get submerged in it. So we're going to play a few tracks. We're going to play like 5 feel-good tracks today. Not a lot of them because they have a lot of other fun stuff to do. We're actually going to premiere our MagFest video, which was edited by this guy over here. He did a great job.
He did a fantastic job. Again, there's so many things that I can't thank Marty enough for all the support that he's given us throughout the years on this podcast.
And I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, this 100th episode is such a momentous occasion, also because it coincides, especially when we're recording this, close to the time that is our 2-year anniversary of doing this podcast.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's quite a big deal for us. It's really hard to believe how much the time...
So yeah, we have a lot of fun stuff planned later on in this episode, but let's just start off with playing one of our favorite video game tracks ever. This is from UN Squadron. It's so fitting. This is one of our most feel-good tracks. This is Frontline Bass, composed by Manami Matsume for the Super Nintendo. So here we go.
Let's do it.
Cool. You're listening to Frontline Bass from UN Squadron, one of the most infamous soundtracks on our podcast.
Yeah.
It's almost funny if you go back to when we first discovered it. It was this obscure thing, and it's crazy how many times we've we featured it so
Yeah.
heavily. But yeah, this is composed by Manami Matsume.
Yeah.
This is a wonderful soundtrack, and this is, I think, the best song in the game. It's so great. There's so many things that make me feel almost nostalgic about this soundtrack. You know, like Carl said, we just discovered it probably like 2 years ago, around the time when we started doing the podcast, but we've played it so many times, it just feels so timeless to us. And also, we ripped some samples from this game in our F-Zero tribute project.
Yeah, we used the
0G.
organ. I did rip the guitar, but we
The
didn't use the
guitar.
guitar from this. But yeah, we actually found out that like most of the tracks were solely composed by Manami Matsume. Takashi only composed Forest Fortress, which is one of my personal favorite tracks. But yeah, this one is this is a jam. I mean,
Just so good. I mean, in that section that you're talking about, it's almost like a revelation the first time you hear it. I know Carl
Yeah.
played it for me, I think, before you guys recorded that episode when you unveiled UN Squadron. And yeah,
it's exciting.
Absolutely.
To
And it's
first
like
hear
Will
it.
says, it's almost this nostalgic thing, but it's like you unlocked this treasure trove, and it's like, oh, I always imagined there was
Right.
a melody like this. So
Yeah.
For me,
there
it's
it
all
is.
about the triplets. I think the theme of this piece is dun 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 dun.
Oh,
dun. There's
yeah.
so many triplets, and it's so catchy.
Yeah,
That kind of
it's so
rhythm there is
satisfying.
just awesome. Yeah.
It's a great episode to feel nostalgic, because these feelings the last couple of weeks I've been feeling incredibly nostalgic, and I mean
Sentimental.
I'm so
Yeah.
proud of all the work that we've done. You know, when we started this was just gonna be a fun little outlet for, you know, me and my brother to talk about video game music every week. We didn't know how long we'd do it. I definitely honestly didn't believe we'd ever make it to 100 episodes, and I never would have believed that we've gotten to interview and talk to some of the incredible artists and musicians that we have. It's just been a dream come true, so thank you guys for helping to make it all possible.
Yeah, we're gonna give you a lot more mushy thanks later on. But yeah,
I just can't
let's
stop,
play, Let's
man.
play another track here. So yeah, next we're gonna play another quintessential soundtrack for this podcast. This is Shin Onigishima.
Yeah, not sure if it gets better than this.
It's
This is so
hard.
good.
It's hard
Oh.
to say if it ever gets better than this. This is composed by Koji Kondo and came out for the Famicom Disk System.
Yeah.
Really interesting sounds. It sounds like the NES, but there's one additional type of instrument. And he really makes good use of that on this soundtrack.
You could call it the vibrato instrument.
Yeah, so let's play a track called Third Chapter Morning from Shin Onigishima. Awesome. You're listening to Third Chapter Morning from Shin Onigishima for the FDS, composed by Koji Kondo. Yeah, I know we've played this track before. All these feel-good tracks, guys, we have played before on the podcast. And I remember this was one that Marty said that it kind of is reminiscent of something from like Legend of Zelda. Like if you were a fan of Koji Kondo and you didn't know this track, it almost would lead you to believe that, oh, is this from some really important series like Legend of Zelda? You know, it's kind of sad these themes don't live on and that they're not part of this legendary series because the music sounds legendary. You know?
Right.
Well, the
And
music is legendary, you know, especially to us.
Yeah, totally. And it ends up being the perfect sort of stepping stone soundtrack between the original Zelda and Link to the Past.
Yeah.
I mean, not only that, you know, the music sort of expands its scope a little bit, but like you were saying, Carl, with the extra channel on the FDS, it's almost like we're kind of between technologies, too.
Yeah,
It's
I
pretty
think
neat.
that's a really good point, Marty. Because, you know, you get all those timbres that you get on the NES because it's the exact same sound chip. There's just one added additional channel. But God, is it so important to creating the sound of this game.
Absolutely. Well, I'm just looking on our little itinerary here and seeing what we have next. So we're just going to play. We have a few more tracks later on. We'll spread them out. But now we're going to do something really cool. So everyone, this is just, I'm so excited to capture Marty's reaction on video here because Marty's never heard this. I showed this to Will about a week ago, and I really wanted to talk about this on today's episode. It's so fitting for this podcast. It's a very special thing I recently discovered. So let's all think about Sonic 3, right? Let's get back into that headspace.
Sure.
Okay. Michael Jackson, you guys remember? You remember the whole story about how Michael Jackson did actually work on the music?
Right.
And if you remember, Will, do you remember the name of the gentleman who helped?
Brad Buxer, I believe.
Brad Buxer.
Oh yeah, and he would be his keyboardist.
He was Michael's
during the Dangerous
keyboardist
tour
and his
stuff.
arranger. Actually uncredited, composing tons of songs with Michael.
Right.
Which is really cool. So Brad Buxer found out a couple weeks ago he used to be in this band in the 80s called the Jetsons, spelled Jetzons.
Okay.
And I can't remember where exactly. It was like Arizona. I can't remember where in the U.S. this was based, but kind of a new wave early 80s pop band. He was the keyboardist and primary songwriter.
I love where this is going.
With that in mind, one of the people who worked on Sonic 3, let's take a listen to a track, an unreleased song by the Jetsons. It wasn't released in the 80s. It wasn't until very recently there was a reissue where people discovered this lost song. This is a song called Hard Times by the Jetsons.
That's so interesting.
It's crazy. As you can see by our reactions, we're such big fans of Sonic. Obviously, in case there's anyone out there who's not familiar with Ice Cap Zone from Sonic 3, it's virtually the exact same song. And Brad reused it because he obviously was happy with the song and probably was disappointed it wasn't released on this album in the 80s. And, oh, hey, I'm working on this video game. Might as well use that really great track that I wrote all those years ago.
Yeah,
it's just
so
crazy.
good. I mean, it's kind of... I mean, my brain is just overflowing with just excitement about this. I mean, one thing that's interesting is just how well this fits an ice-themed level in a
and those
Sega
instruments
Genesis
are exactly
video
the
game.
same. Those they're literally exactly
And so it's
the
just
same.
sort of good fortune. I'm sure maybe the song just popped up in his head when he saw the level. It's like, oh, you know what? Hard Times works perfectly for this.
And Will was mentioning that because the melody is a little different. It's similar, but Will was mentioning maybe Michael helped him kind of change or craft the melody in a little different way for Ice Cap
could
Zone,
be
because he was working with
The
them.
strangest thing is that Ice Cap Zone thus far has been sort of like the prime example that the prime piece of evidence that Michael worked on the song, because the chord progression is so similar to
Who Is
say
It?
Billie Jean or Who Is It or Smooth Criminal. But
And
the
the
funny
melody
thing
is
is,
very
it's like
Jackson-y.
that's almost just coincidental.
It is
because this is
coincidental.
before. I mean, if this is 1982, that's before Brad Buxer really worked with Michael Jackson.
It is. Yeah.
So who knows?
And Brad actually did come up with the chords for Who Is It? So, which I found out in this interview with him. Like he came up with all the chords uncredited for the song.
Yeah, to
Which
me,
is
the most
interesting.
catchy thing about Ice Cap Zone is that da da da, and that interval is actually not present in this song. So
The second two notes are, but the first note isn't.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to see when in the process of working on Ice Cap Zone did those sort of changes come to place. I wonder if he just when inputting it, he just wanted to
I'm
make
just
it more
so excited
lyrical.
because this further it just makes me excited about the whole folklore of this game. It's never going to end. There's always something that comes out about this game, and there's still something that I feel like I will die happy if I can hear. Supposedly, Chirico Jones, who is kind of he's kind of this like secret character. He was also credited for Sonic 3 working with Michael. Apparently, he says he has demo tapes, like voice recordings of Michael
performing tracks.
all these Sonic songs.
Wow.
I could definitely believe it, because that is the way Michael would compose often, would be with these demo tapes where he would, multi-track demos where he's performing all the parts on his voice. Now, the last thing I'll say about this, I can't believe how Brad basically preserved these sounds almost verbatim on the Genesis.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. It's like, not only is it the
bass
same key and
sound,
the same tempo, but the sound of the bass, I mean, it's almost identical.
Well, and those sort of
it's
shimmery
terrific.
arpeggios with a delay that happen in the second repetition of the chorus, that same sort of arpeggiated pattern with a very similar timbre instrument happens in Ice Cap Zone, especially the Act 2 version of it.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I just thought that was a fun thing
what
to
a
do.
find. That's so cool.
For this episode. So now we're gonna do something really fun. We talk about nostalgia and just being sentimental. This is something called Scrubbing Through Memory Lane. This is something that Will put together.
Yeah, as we were approaching this episode, I was really just sort of being nostalgic and sentimental, as I'm known to be, and I kind of wanted to put together a little montage that summarizes all the awesome things that we've gotten to do on this podcast over the years. And so when I started to work on this, I was just going to take, little bits and pieces, sort of try to find the quirkier moments of the show, the times when, Carl and I did things sort of off the beaten path. And I also wanted to include some of the interviews. But when I was doing it, for the sake of time, I decided to increase the rate on my laptop.
Which I wonder if any of you guys do when you're listening to our podcast.
Yeah. Well, I did it to essentially scrub through things quickly so that I'd be able to get through, because there's 100 episodes of this show and I had to listen to a great deal of it to edit this. So I was essentially listening to the show with Chipmunk, Carl, Marty,
which
and Will.
actually is a lot more funny and enjoyable.
Yeah.
So take a listen to this look back at our first 100 episodes. This is Scrubbing Through Memory Lane. Enjoy, guys.
Hello and welcome to the Super Marcato Brothers Video Game Music Podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the Super Marcato Brothers. Hey, welcome to the Super Marcato Brothers. Oh, hey, didn't hear you come in. Welcome to another episode of the Super Marcato Brothers Video Game Music Podcast. Episode 6. This is episode 12. This is episode 15. Episode 16. Forest Music. Welcome to the Racing Games episode of the Super Marcato Brothers Video Game Music Podcast. What's up, everybody? How's it going, party people? Welcome back to another episode of the Super Marcato Brothers Video Game Music Podcast. Yeah, that our name doesn't really go well with the creepy voice. How are you guys doing? When I hear this, I think of the huge boo. Yeah. Like, and when you turn your back from it, those green, bubble things that are just like death. We're gonna introduce the third Marcato brother. This is Marty Brueggemann. Hi, guys. So yeah, just a little info about Marty. He is also a fellow musician, fellow composer, fellow video game music enthusiast. And a very good one at that. I'll come back anytime. The food spread here, you probably can't see it, but it's incredible. So yeah, that's super metric. Great game. I need to actually beat it all the way through one of these days. But you need to do that. Well, you don't need to be that forceful. You don't need to tell what to do. The nicest thing I can say is that it's different musically. I think most of it is a load of trash, but that's me putting it nicely. Delicately. Should we get like a Twitter? That's a very good idea. I think we'll have to talk about that off air. I'm pulling the old tactic, like you don't want to embarrass yourself in front of everyone. Millions of people. You'll cave into my demands. In front of 5 people. My favorite part is sure. Oh, it's just so scary. I love the consonants he's using when he's using it. They feel so natural. They're so natural, yeah. An instrument very instrumental, yeah. We'll move on, but I just gotta say my favorite part is da 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 ba ba ba. It was really Latin triplets that. So good. Okay, I'm convinced he used our mic. I think he did use an SM7. It sounds like SM7. Okay, so this is very exciting, everyone. This is this week's track of the week. Oh, definitely. That is Special Stage from Sonic 3, composed by who knows? Whoever. Genius. Just genius. Composed by God. That is amazing. And also, in light of today's episode, we have a very special guest, Mr. Jaron Moore. So to start things off here, would you mind sharing, for some of our viewers who maybe aren't familiar with it, a little bit of background of Symphony of the Goddesses, as well as your involvement with it?
Symphony of the Goddesses is basically the ultimate Zelda concert. It, in my mind, represents the very best of the franchise.
How much interaction do you have with the folks at Nintendo?
Mr. Kondo and Mr. Onuma-san, all those guys have been extremely involved in what we've done. Kondo-san worked directly with our music director and the gentleman responsible for arranging all the music, Chad Sider.
Nice. That's so cool. All right, the wait is finally over. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our exclusive interview with the man behind the music, Mr. Grant Kirkhope.
a letter saying, please come for an interview. Couldn't believe it. So I got interviewed by Dave Wise and a guy called Simon Farley, who's the general manager at Rare.
Okay.
And bizarrely enough, got the job. To my surprise, and that was it. I started at Rare in 1995.
If you were to compose freelance for future games, like, would you think you'd always have that melodic style, or would you be willing to maybe kind of dabble in more kind of rhythmic or, I guess, less melodic type of music?
I'm sick and tired of coming out of movie theaters and just not remembering a note of the score.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
I just hate it. I hate it. Arpeggiated strings, some kind of taiko drum loop, etc., etc. It just drives me mad. I just think, I don't like it.
We really need to start hitting these tracks. So the first track we're gonna play, I'm really excited about it. I've been. Whoa, Will, do you hear that? What's going on? There's like a wait. Something's wrong with the bandwidth. Hello? You guys there? Marty? Marty, is that you? What are you doing, Marty? You're cutting into our signal.
Marty, can you hear me?
Hello?
There's a small red button. Do not press that button.
Okay. What about this button? No! Carl? Will? Guys? Are you there? Ooh. Whoops. The topic of today's episode is Koji Kondo, and any of you who have listened to probably even a few episodes of the show probably know how in love all three of us are with the music of Koji Kondo.
I remember the first time that I realized that there was one man that had composed the music to all the Mario and Zelda games.
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of like finding out that Mel Blanc did all the voices for all the Looney Tunes guys.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just incredible.
Well, folks, today we are joined by one of the biggest names in the video game industry. He's worked on the sound to over 300 video games in his career. We're very excited to be joined by Tommy Tallarico. Tommy, thanks so much for talking with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Can you talk a little bit about kind of the events that led to the inception of Video Games Live, how that got started?
The reason I created Video Games Live is I wanted to prove to the world how culturally significant and artistic video games have become.
April Fools! Today we're going to be looking at the worst video game music of all time. The thing about this one is everything about it is just atrocious. It's all really annoying and buzzy. And yeah, and see, that's the thing. This definitely induces ear vomit. I agree. It's just terrible. Yeah, better luck next time, Paul. The past few weeks, we haven't really introduced ourselves at the beginning of the podcast. Yeah, that's a really good point. I think we kind of got a little complacent. My name is Carl Brueggemann. No, it's not. Don't confuse people. One thing I read, I guess you'll call me a nerd for this, but I read that a lot of the melodies...
There's a story that Miyamoto took Koji Kondo along to a Paul McCartney concert in Japan.
Oh my God.
He took Koji to meet Paul McCartney backstage, and he was trying to explain, oh, this is the guy, and he does the music, and that's where apparently Paul McCartney said, oh, do, and sang a couple bars.
That's a good song, man. That's a good tune. Yeah, man. Interesting choice to use the music of the Gone Jackals in Full Throttle. Could you talk a little bit about your time with that game?
At some point, I got a call from Keith, and I don't know how he'd heard about it, but he's like, hey, I hear you guys are looking for a band, and, my band plays. We're like a heavy band. And I'm like, cool, come on over. Well, it kind of helped. He came over with the tape on a bike.
Oh my gosh. Sold.
Right. And he's kind of a wiry little guy, but he's super tough. And he comes up on this bike, hands me the tape, drives off. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll be listening to this tonight.
Is it Legacy?
Yeah. Oh, man, that's it. Yeah, I went to say, oh, sure, that is righteous,
One of the most legendary Western video game composers of all time, today's episode is focusing on the music of David Wise. Could you talk a little bit about your approach to scoring video games and whether or not that has changed over the years?
Yeah, I'm not sure I have a formula, really. Somebody gives me a level to look at, I'll take a look at it and get a few ideas and start putting a few ideas down.
What advice would you share to any aspiring video game composers out there?
I think for everybody involved in writing music is to affiliate yourself with a small developer. There's no guarantee that whatever you're going to work on is going to be a hit, but you're going to have to get out there, get your hands dirty, and get your music on as many games as possible.
What is it about the Pokemon series that resonates so much with fans?
There's a lot of things. Now, generally what I find is that people really like the sense of community that the games have sort of evoked for them, and that's why they stick around after all these years.
So I guess if there would be a lesson of the week or whatever, it's just, it's the difference between musicality and sound. Masato didn't even realize what he was getting himself into. It definitely set the stage for the Sonic series, but I think it set the stage for a lot of other video games too. The most important thing is that you're enjoying it and that you're finding new music you enjoy listening to.
Yeah,
so
for
we
sure.
really appreciate all your support. So my name is Carl Brueggemann. Thank you so much for joining us. And my name is Will Brueggemann. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a fantastic week. And get back to work, me hearties. All right, talk to you guys next week. Peace out. Bye-bye.
That was fun. Hopefully you guys
that's so fun.
enjoyed that. It was really fun for us to go back, and for me it was cool because I don't remember some of that,
Yeah.
So we've done this every week. In some ways it feels like I remember, doing the first episode, it feels like not too long ago, but in other times it feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, I so enjoyed putting that together because originally I wasn't obviously planning to have it sped up, but because for functionality's sake, that's how I went through editing it. It was just so much more enjoyable. Like I just loved hearing all the jokes were funnier because our timing was better since it was sped up, and I don't know, it was just so cute. It's almost like how you listen back to yourself because for me, when I was listening back to some of the earlier episodes, I thought my voice sounded a little different anyway because it's a few years ago, so I thought it'd be an added joke to just really increase the
Grant
pitch.
was my favorite. You literally couldn't understand anything he was saying.
Yeah, that was.
Well,
he
talks fast in real life, so you increase the
Tommy's
speed.
voice still kept some of its same character at the high
Right.
Guys, that was so effective. The next 100 episodes are going to have to have the same.
We're gonna have to do that
Yeah.
again. Yeah. So
look
yeah, let's
forward to
play a
it.
couple more tracks here, a couple more feel good, some of our favorite tracks ever. So we're gonna play a track from Sam and Max Hit the Road, which was a LucasArts game composed by what we call the Dream Team, which for you guys means Michael Land, Clint Bajakian, and Peter McConnell. Just if you guys haven't checked out that LucasArts episode where we interviewed Peter McConnell, feel free to head on over to that.
Totally.
That was a highlight of
we
the
never
show.
had a moment of silence for LucasArts.
That's true.
It is.
Let's do it right now.
That's too bad.
Let's just think about it. All right, with that
All
said,
right.
this is not a somber piece at all. It's very happy and goofy. This is Snucky's Greatest Hits Volume 4. It's one of the themes that plays
so
when
good.
you go into the Snuckies. It's a great pop song. So here we go. So cute. You guys are listening to Snucky's Greatest Hits Volume 4 from Sam and Max Hit the Road. Yeah, and we talk about this a lot, but we love listening to the Sam Max soundtrack because it's performed. There's imperfect things happening. There's flubs. There's imperfect rhythms, and it's so cool, after talking with Peter that, they didn't like to quantize it back in the day.
Yeah.
And Peter said he did a lot of the solos on this album, but Clint did most of the composing, he said. But
Well, it gives it that human element, that human touch, if you will.
I will.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will. I mean... Yeah, so that was fun. Let's play one more track here. Let's keep the fun going.
Let's do it.
Now, let's go back to Sonic 3. This is one of our favorite tracks from this game. This is Endless Mine, one of the multiplayer levels. Really one of, I think, the strongest melodies in this game. Composed by Sega Sound Team. Some people think the multiplayer stuff was done by Jun Senoway, so it's possible. So let's...
that makes sense. It sort of feels like his music.
Reminiscent of Sonic 3D Blast in a lot of ways. Let's take a listen to Endless Mine from Sonic 3. Awesome. You guys are listening to Endless Mine from Sonic 3. Really one of the most nostalgic tracks for me. I mean, it's a great dance piece, but it has such a beautiful, sweet melody to it.
Yeah.
And it's a great choice. The instrument they use here, it is actually an FM instrument. It's not a PSG instrument.
Oh, sure.
But they try to make it sound very simple. And
Yeah, it has
kind of
like a roundness
8-bit.
to it.
It's
Yeah.
just beautiful.
Yeah. I like what... honestly, I think the first time I've ever heard this expressed is on your guys' show, that nostalgia is an emotion that you can communicate in music, which is completely outside of your
It's not just
association.
because I played this game when I was a kid.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Musically evokes the feeling, the emotion of nostalgia.
Yeah.
The intervals of the melody and how they're set against the chord. And think it's just another example of what you guys bring, to the world with your show. It's just
thanks,
dude.
expressing that side of music, it goes overlooked so often.
I think in a case like this, the fact that it is nostalgic to hear this old video game music,
it's like a double whammy.
Music I feel like so often taps into what you're talking about, that sort of musical element of nostalgia, but music itself is something that we have such a good memory for, and it's so intrinsically linked with our own emotions. So when we are nostalgic for something and it's also intentionally pulling on those same heartstrings, I think you have such an effective combination. And I think all the pieces that we're playing today really do that pretty well, and especially to us, hold a very unique place in our hearts.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So now I think it's perfect time. Let's play our MagFest video. This is a really cool montage of our experience at MagFest. Some of you may have seen this already. We posted it to our YouTube channel, but for any of you who hasn't, please enjoy. This is our experience at MagFest 12. Here we go.
Badges. What are your thoughts, Will?
Very excited, but also a little overwhelmed.
How about you, Carl?
It's so incredibly beautiful, but there's so many nerves.
Kind of a trade-off.
I know.
Hey, we're here at MagFest, Day 1, 2014. What do you think, Carl?
Let the games begin.
I try real hard to make MagFest an environment where people can get away with anything.
There's this sign that's telling you not to do the Colossus roar, but to consider being Nightcrawler instead. The Colossus roar...
It's actually a really common thing at MagFest for everyone to make this roar. And apparently sometimes the hotel gets complaints of people doing it at 2 a.m. So they actually have to post these signs all around MagFest.
May I ask what your costume is today?
This is Amaterasu from Okami.
Oh, awesome. Great choice. Yeah, are you a fan of video game music at all?
Oh, always, always.
What are some of your favorite soundtracks?
Well, I definitely go for like the Final Fantasy ones. It's always a classic. The Assassin's Creed now are really coming out with really good ones, especially 4 with the shanties and all.
Absolutely. Yeah, what's some of your favorite things about, when you think of Assassin's Creed, what type of sort of musical things do you really enjoy about that series?
Well, you have the nice smooth moments where everything's going, and then you've got that hyped up danger. Yeah, you're about ready just to go on and get some Templars.
Yeah, the epic quality.
Oh, yes.
What is it about the music of the Zelda series that resonates with you, that you find unique out of all the other kind of video game music out there?
It's probably the emotional connection because of how it's been portrayed in these games that I grew up playing, and the emotional connection that you gain through playing a game, having that interactive medium while the music's going on.
Absolutely.
Hey guys, we're here at Shed Space and Jam Space. This is sort of a cool opportunity exclusive to MagFest where they sort of allow people to have instruments set up and sort of jam and hang out. So
really cool.
Yeah, we're pretty excited. Let's go.
Only at MagFest would you hear this.
Absolutely.
Who wants to play? All right, let's get 4 people. Let's get 4 people lined up here. We can do a track each. All right, so who do we have here? We have some exciting people here. We have Mr. Chicken. What's your name, Chicken?
KOD.
Okay, KOD Chicken. What's your name, sir?
Dre.
Dre, what's your name?
Will.
And?
Craig.
Are you the merchant from RE4?
Quite a good eye on you, sir.
Jimmy and Kevin. All right, we're going to start with Jimmy here. Now, Jimmy, we have 3 different tiers, easy, medium, or hard. What sounds good to you?
Medium.
He wants to go medium. Medium. Hard, medium, or easy? What would you say?
Medium.
Medium. Want to go with medium? All right. We have 3 tiers of questions: easy, medium, or hard. What sounds good to you?
Let's go with medium because I feel like hard's going to be a bunch of obscure games.
Right. We're gonna go with medium.
To be honest, I should be on easy right now because I'm not like, an expert.
Easy, medium, or hard? What difficulty are you looking for here?
I want to say easy, but let's go medium.
We're gonna try medium, Will. And what's your name?
Aaron.
Aaron. All right. We're gonna start off with track 1. We're gonna play a little bit and then ask you a few questions.
Oh, you get really?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Take a listen. No help from any of you guys.
Really?
No help from any of you guys.
Goes with everything.
This is my jam. We'll just dance a little bit here.
Dance break.
What game is this track from?
Street Fighter 2.
Street Fighter 2, that is correct. What game is this track from? A, Mega Man X, B, Final Fight, C, Final Fantasy 3, or D, Street Fighter 2?
D, Street Fighter 2.
That's correct. Shocking, he got that. Number 2, what is this track? Is it A, Blanca stage, B, Ken stage, C, Guile stage, or D, Balrog stage?
Guile stage.
That's incorrect. No, I'm just kidding, it's correct. Okay. No help from you. All right. Question 1. What game is this track from? A, Final Fantasy 2, B, Final Fantasy 4, C, Final Fantasy 5, or D, Final Fantasy 7?
Oh man, I knew it was Final Fantasy, but I don't know which one.
Final Fantasy 4.
It's 5. Very close.
Final Fantasy 7.
So sorry, it is Final Fantasy 5.
Between 4 and 5. Let's say 5.
It is 5. I have to give you a high 5 for that answer. What other game did this composer work on? A, Chrono Cross, B, Secret of Mana, C, Rad Racer, or D, Dragon Quest?
Secret of Mana.
It's Rad Racer.
It is Rad Racer. Well done. Okay, and what's your name?
Ahmed.
Ahmed, all right. We're going to move on to track 2 for Ahmed.
I am Ed.
I am Ed. I have a feeling Chicken Man's going to do very well. Okay, track 2.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
I'm going to hate it.
Okay, what game is this track from? A, Ghosts and Goblins, B, Dragon Quest 2, C, Castlevania, or D, Contra?
Think very carefully about this.
I don't play any of this. Contra?
No, it is Castlevania.
I never played Castlevania. Neither have I.
All right, here we go. Question 2. Question 2. You may be able to redeem yourself here, Ed/Ahmed. Is it A, Wicked Child, B, Bloody Tears, C, Stalker, or D, Vampire Killer?
Vampire Killer.
It is Vampire Killer. Good job, Chicken.
Okay, come on. You got Vampire Killer?
It is Vampire Killer. Well done.
I know this.
He knows it.
I'll go with A.
A, Legend of Zelda?
It's from B, Mario.
It is for Mario. It is for Mario. Is it A, Mario 64, B, Mario World, C, Mario RPG, or D, Yoshi's Island?
Yoshi's Island.
It is Yoshi's Island. Is it A, F-Zero, B, ActRaiser, C, Gradius 3, or D, Star Fox?
I have to go with D, Star Fox.
That is correct.
Absolutely.
Well done. Well done.
Star Fox.
It is Star Fox.
Nice.
Slow but steady wins the race. This is a little bit more of a soft, intimate one. What is this track? Is it A, opening, B, title screen, C, mission accomplished, or D, credits?
This is D, credits.
Absolutely, that is very good. I'm glad we did hard. These guys know what they're doing. Please ignore the saxophone. It's not part of the track. So what game is this track from?
Sonic 2.
Let's say Sonic 2.
It is Sonic 2. Good job, good job. 1, 2, 3, or Knuckles?
Okay, I think 2.
It is 2. High five.
I knew it wasn't the first one.
Awesome job, awesome job. Green Hill Zone, Angel Island Zone, Emerald Hill Zone, or Mushroom Hill Zone?
It's between Green Hill and Emerald.
I think it's Mushroom Hill Zone.
Green Hill Zone?
It is actually Emerald Hill Zone. Number 3, who composed this track? Is it A, Koji Kondo, B, Masato Nakamura, D, Jun Senoway, or D, Howard Drossen?
This is a stab in the dark. I'm going to go with Nakamura.
It is Nakamura.
Stabs in the dark.
Very good stab in the dark. I mean, if someone were to stab in the dark, I mean, I'm not surprised it's you.
Well, I'm accustomed to darkness myself.
I'm gonna go with Mass Effect.
That is correct, sir. That is correct. This is from Mass Effect. Good job. What game is this track from? Is it A, Super Metroid, B, Metroid Fusion, C, Fire Emblem The Sword of Flame, or D, Fire Emblem Saisen no Kaifu?
Sounds tough. Tough choices.
Super Metroid? It's got to be one of the Fire Emblems. I'm going to go with C.
It's actually Metroid Fusion.
Metroid, really?
Tough, because you could...
Metroid has like a really dark ambient sound. This is not what I'd expect.
Absolutely.
So Streets of Rage?
It is Streets of Rage.
A, Mass Effect 2, B, Halo 2, C, Bioshock 2, or D, Dead Space 2?
Mass Effect 2.
Correct. Tricky question. He got it. He got it. Nice job. Number 2, what is this track? Is it A, Ending, B, Prelude, C, Victory Fanfare, or D, Tifa's theme?
Well, this plays at the beginning of the Final Fantasy series, so I have to say Prelude.
You are correct, sir. Very well done. Track 4.
Oh, come on.
Really? All right. What game is this track from?
You're not even going to give me the choices?
I don't think so.
Do you need them?
No, yeah. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
That's incorrect. No, that's correct.
If you get this wrong, I'm gonna murderize you.
If you get it wrong, we're going to kill you. It's from Ocarina of Time.
It is from Ocarina of Time. Good job. What game is it from?
Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time.
Great.
Okay, what is the track? A, Goron City, B, Lake Hylia, C, Gerudo Valley, or D, Hyrule Field?
C, Gerudo Valley.
Well done.
Absolutely.
Well done, well done. Okay, who composed this track? A, Hajime Kai, B, Koji Kondo, C, Nobuo Uematsu, or D, Toru Minagishi?
I can understand if you get this one wrong.
I love chance.
Your friends will disown you if you don't get this.
I understand that. I'm gonna have to go with A.
Which is?
Oh, it's one of those names.
Who composed this track?
I would believe it's Koji Kondo.
It is Koji Kondo. 3 out of 3. What is this track?
Gerudo Valley.
It is Gerudo Valley. Question 3. Who composed this track?
That's Koji Kondo.
He's going with medium, but I think you should have gone with hard. This is very well done, very well done. So first of all, what is your name, sir?
Eric Beckman.
Eric, we got Eric. You're enjoying MagFest so far?
Yes.
So you're a fan of video game music, I assume. We have 3 tiers of question, easy, medium, or hard. What sounds good to you?
Hard.
Hard! He's going with hard! It's gonna be good.
Oh, this is our CD.
Awesome. And what are you guys called?
Kirby's Dream Band.
Kirby's Dream Band. I love it. I love it already.
I'm gonna go for the A.
It is A, Gary Scheinman. Wonderful. What's with this guy?
Killing it.
Killing it. Okay. What instrument does he play? Is he?
Drums.
I was gonna guess that.
Really?
I'm a drummer too, so.
You know, it might be Welcome to Rapture, but it might be the second track. I want to say Welcome to Rapture.
It is Welcome to Rapture. Perfect score so far.
You're making us.
Holy smokes.
I would give you that.
Think about it, but we'll give you some options here. It is Streets of Rage. He got Streets of Rage, and he got the next question, Yuzo Koshiro, without any help from anybody. Yuzo was actually here at MagFest previously.
He was here last year as a DJ.
And he played this.
This next one makes
Okay, here we go.
Serious fan. ActRaiser. He also did Ease 1.
Ease 1 and 2. Excellent.
Yuzo Koshiro also did the very fabulous Adventure Island series.
But that was actually a dream team. It was him, Yasunori Mitsuda, who did Chrono Trigger, and Motoi Sakuraba.
Motoi Sakuraba.
Great.
Obviously, Him Tanaka, who did the original soundtrack, and then he redid his music.
Yeah, absolutely.
This guy knows his stuff. We like it. We like it. What company made this game?
Konami.
Impressive. Impressive. Last track. You're doing excellent, sir. Here we go. Last track. Take a listen. Take a listen to this track.
Oh! Tim Follin!
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
No, sorry.
All right. Just, you guys are so good. I love the energy. Here. It's so fun to be with fellow nerds of video game music.
What's this
question? NES. That's correct. Okay, question 2. What game is this track from? Silver Surfer.
Okay, now this is a question.
This is
you're
tough.
A Fallen Brothers fan.
If you're a Fallen Brothers fan, you might know this.
What other game did he work on? A, Plock, B, The Uncanny X-Men, C, McKids, or D, Street Fighter 2010?
It is Plock.
One of the best.
Yeah.
Do you guys know the song Beach from Plock?
Yes, of course I know the song Beach from Plock.
One of the best tracks of all time.
Rock.
So proggy.
Okay.
The meter changes. I love it.
I'm Eric Beckman. That's Michael.
We did Chrono Trigger like you were talking about.
Oh my gosh, awesome. Are you guys, you're not playing this weekend, are you?
No, we're from San Diego.
Okay.
But we came here to hang out and have fun.
Awesome.
Our music's for free on the internet, and we're working on a bunch of new stuff right now too.
And one more time, your band is called?
Kirby's Dream Band. We're a pink rock band.
Carl and Will here. We just got out of a really awesome panel with James Portnow about the future of gaming.
Yeah, James Portnow is famous from writing the Extra Credits series, which is really popular on YouTube. Right. And he likes to talk about a lot of sort of more intellectual aspects of the medium. And it was just a delightful panel, and he answered a lot of great questions.
A few months back, I was on the phone with one of the senior advisors to the president on science and technology. And he asked me this question. He asked me, why should someone like the president, why should someone like me care about games? This is something that has driven this industry to be bigger than the film industry in 20 years. This is the fastest growing mass medium of all time. And so I really had to ask myself, why? I get to tell my own story in these worlds. I get to tell my own story to myself, and through doing so, come to better understand who I am. This is an incredible thing. This is an unbelievably powerful thing that we barely even begun to tap into in this room. How many of you guys know like 30 Pokemon? All right, we got a hint. 50? 100? 200? Right, we still got hands of 200. And I mean, seriously, like probably a fifth of this room still had hands up to 200. You know what's amazing about that? Nobody sat you down in a classroom. Nobody gave you homework. Nobody lectured to you in order to get you to do that. That's an incredible amount of data. So even if you do care about memorization, about raw data, the power in games to educate you is incredible. No other medium in history has been able to impart agency, has been able to impart this idea that your life really is your own, that you are in control of it, and that the choices you make in the end lead to life that you get to live. This is the magic of games.
I really look forward to he's actually doing a few more panels today and tomorrow.
Yeah, we have a lot of exciting stuff today. Tommy Tallarico has a panel which we're really looking forward to today.
I wanted to do something here that was very different that no one had ever done before. And to me, you know, there's three things that make up a video game. Of course, there's the audio, the music, the voiceovers, sound effects. There's the art, you know, the visuals, the animation, the backgrounds, all that. And then, of course, there's the gameplay, the design, you know, the interactivity. So I wanted to take all three of those things, not just the music, but the visuals and the interactivity as well, and kind of put them all together. One of the first things I do when I get on stage is I tell people, I say, look, feel free to cheer, clap, yell, scream, holler, whenever you feel like, right? So I kind of describe Video Games Live as having all of the power and emotion of a symphony orchestra, but combined with the energy and excitement of a rock concert, and mixed together with all the cutting-edge visuals and technology and interactivity and fun. Because again, a traditional symphonic show is very, shh, everybody be quiet, don't say anything, don't make a noise, don't kick a chair, don't cough, oh my God, you're rude. You know, and everybody's in tuxedos and sipping wine and smoking cigars, and it's like, you know, so I wanted to bring the fun into it. It doesn't have to be like that. It's just the way that people have been doing it for 100 years.
If basketball was like the thing I felt most comfortable doing, like anything but that, I'm like slightly less comfortable doing. So yeah, it's definitely like a challenge and fun to like kind of try and push myself creatively like a little bit outside of where I'm exactly comfortable, you know. But yeah, it's been really fun to explore in that regard. So yeah, it's a challenge and it's rewarding.
do this instead of going to my in-laws' house for a week. And so I did, and it was a dramatic difference. I mean, it was an epiphany.
Hey guys, we are right outside the dungeon, which is one of the most exciting parts of MagFest. This is where they have the entire marketplace, all kinds of really great toys and shirts, and
yeah, this is also right where they have the arcade back in there, and they're also testing out a lot of new like beta versions of new games and cool little indie development.
yeah, this is a really fun area, so let's go check it out.
Let's do it.
We are here at MagFest 12 with the legendary Tommy Tallarico right in front of the Tron machine.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah, he's a legend right here. So Tommy, how's your experience been so far here at MagFest this year?
Unfreaking believable. I mean, this is pan around with the camera. Pan around.
Yeah, take a look at this. You got.
What do you think? No words can describe this. This is all tens of thousands of gamers here because they love video game music. I'm in heaven!
What software do we use? Whatever doesn't crash, which is nothing.
My two greatest loves growing up were always video games and music. But I never thought to ever put the two together because there's no such thing as a video game composer in the 70s.
One of my good buddies, Amir Rao, said, "Hey, I'm co-founding this game company. You want to do all the music and sound design and everything for it?" And I was like, yes, sure. I had never considered that, but I grew up playing video games and loving them and thought that would be an awesome thing to do, and it was.
And you have to put your song out there, and that is probably the biggest piece of advice that I have heard from anybody and I can give to anybody, is you have to actually put your music in the world for people to listen to it and want you to write music for their games.
The pacing of the level is important, but I want to know what the emotion is, So many times a producer will say, "Oh, we're in Ice World, so make it sound all tingly, and we're in Lava World, so make it sound like the devil," and I don't necessarily write for the environment, but I want to write for the emotion. Is the player happy or is they sad? Are they being chased or are they chasing somebody?
A lot of composers, when they get started writing music for games, they forget that games are interactive and therefore the music should also be. So a lot of what Brendan said is a lot of back and forth with the developers, just trying to figure out the right setting for the music and then going from there.
If you edit yourself, you'll never put anything out, you'll never make any, and sometimes I can tend to do that, where I sort of over-edit before I do anything. Like, oh no, that's not good, that's not good. But when you get to the point where it's an emergency, you have to just try stuff, and usually it ends up being cool.
And your best stuff that you write, whether you know it or not, is the stuff that you're most passionate about.
Being a composer for video games, if you're thinking AAA games, if you're thinking the big indie games, it just isn't an entry-level position, right? Very often we actually grab people from the TV or film world to do that sort of thing. That said, there's all sorts of indies. There are probably even some in this room who are desperate for music for their games, right?
Let's touch base later.
I'd just like to say, this guy talks way too much. You gotta say something, man.
I apologize. Can I ask you one last question?
No. Okay, so anyways.
What we were saying about Tron.
No, go ahead.
Why do you think that is that a company like Interplay wouldn't be interested in having that game and giving you guys the rights?
Simple word. Greed.
Cool. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. That was so fun to relive that. We had such a great time at MagFest 12. Now, Marty, you're the one who edited that. What was it like reliving all those moments?
I just couldn't believe how fun it was. We had a great time, the three of us being there.
It was a magical weekend.
But yeah, my actual memories of the event are now washed over by this video, and I just couldn't get over how much fun it was. The crazy sort of wonderful characters that we met.
Yeah. And I think the highlight of the video and the highlight of our time there was that Name That Tune game.
Yeah, I agree.
So many colorful characters. I think Eric of Kirby's Dream Band really took the cake.
Yeah.
Gosh, so much passion, so much knowledge for video games. I mean, he didn't even need the choices, just Yuzo Koshiro, Streets of Rage.
Yeah, it was such an exciting moment. I mean, it was really palpable in the air, and I feel like that comes through in the video,
I think
too.
Everyone watching this, you guys can probably relate to that. I mean, everyone watching this is a nerd for video game music,
right.
Which you guys can agree. It's a rare thing. Most people that you interact with in your daily lives don't share that passion. So it was so fun, guys, to be in a place where everyone was as nerdy as you were. So I really recommend next year anyone listening go to MagFest.
I might dare to say that a lot of them were more nerdy than us.
Yeah, no, definitely in some ways. I mean,
Yeah.
I've got to say though, you guys did so well there. I think we were all so proud of the Super Marcato Brothers.
Well,
at
I mean, we
MagFest.
couldn't have done it without you, man.
There wasn't anyone at that festival that was doing what we were doing, which I was kind of surprised with. No one else was doing that kind of a game. There wasn't a lot of people doing interviews, so it really did feel like we were covering kind of, some ground.
Yeah.
Breaking some ground, I guess.
Yeah, but Marty, I just want to say, Marty was the one who's behind the camera the whole time, and I'm really grateful for that because I think we're really lucky that Marty sort of filled that role. He edited, but also, there was a lot of really cool things, people that Carl and I got to meet and interviews and stuff that we conducted that I'm sure Marty would have loved to be a more direct part of, but he was so loyal. He stayed behind the camera the whole time.
It was an essential role.
I'm so glad he did because
cool.
we got some wonderful footage.
Well, yeah, I think... Yeah, this is a great time. Let's play one more track. We have one last track on our 5-track feel-good playlist. This is from Wario Land Shake It, which is a fitting soundtrack. That was really one of the soundtracks, when it came out.
It was a standout.
It was a standout track. It's reminiscent of melodic, imaginative game music from the past, and I know for us it was just very, very exciting. So this is composed by Tomoya Tomita. Let's take a listen to Stone Carving City Return. That is a fun track. Such an authentic Latin piece. You're listening to Stone Carving City Return from Wario Land Shake It, one of our favorite soundtracks as of late, composed by Tomoya Tomita.
Yeah. Excellent.
Came out before we did the podcast, but, one of the recent...
Just before,
I think, yeah. Absolutely.
It's an incredible game, too. I remember the art direction being really kind of different, especially for that time, having that hand-drawn animated style, especially for a Nintendo game. It's something that I kind of hoped they would go back to. I kind of would like to see a Mario game in more of a 2D hand-drawn style as opposed to that sort of pristine plastic, like 3D look that a lot of the 2D Mario games have had lately.
Yeah, and there's just a great sense of humor from the visual style to the music to everything. And
very cohesive aesthetically.
Yeah.
That was fun to have that kind of just like a playlist that's only consisting of tracks that we know and love, and it's really kind of quintessential for the podcast. What were you going to say, though?
Oh, no, the only thing is that listening to these great tracks, what I'm reminded of, what is so special about video game music, outside of maybe the box art, it's really the only fixed thing from that piece of art that you can point to that just doesn't change.
Right.
And so like what you were talking about earlier, it's so tied into your memories, especially something like music. And it's that one thing that we can point to. It's like, oh, there's the game. Yeah. And we really, instead of remembering a level, it's like you remember your whole experience around a game.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, because that's the great thing about video games is that they aren't a fixed medium, that you have sort of control, you have choices, you have action, decision-making, all these live elements that make it sort of virtual, and that's really the appeal of games. But it is nice that we have, like you mentioned, elements that we can go back to that are constant, that can give us that sort of nostalgic feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I think now is a good time to we wanted to just kind of talk to you guys about, the inception of this podcast, kind of talking about the history of it and how it got started. And just, talking a little bit about the show, before we say goodbye to you guys on this 100th episode. So it's crazy that it was over 2 years ago that Will and I were sitting on the couch in the dining room talking about, wouldn't it be cool? We could do a video game music podcast.
And because we've always been so passionate about video game music. The three of us are all musicians and composers, and we've grown up playing video games like everyone.
Yeah,
in
it
our
almost
generation.
feels like our whole life has been kind of building towards like being qualified to do this, and we didn't realize it. But I remember that moment, Will. We locked eyes, and we were like, we could do it, and you're like, do you want to do it? And it was like, yeah, let's try it. And it was literally just, all it was is let's record one just for fun and see what happens.
I remember
never thought it would turn into this.
I was showing you, because I had just bought in Castlevania 1 and 3 for the NES.
You have an actual NES, yeah.
For the music, actually, is like I just gotten into listening to that music again, and I'd never played Castlevania 3 before, and that prelude music was so haunting and so like hip for the NES. I remember I had to show Carl this, and this is after we'd recently discovered the Legacy Music Hour, and been breezing through a couple of those
episodes. Which is since
episodes.
defunct now.
Yeah.
Brent and Rob, so that was definitely inspirational for us as far as knowing that there was such thing as a video game music podcast.
It was just such a good idea, and I was kind of new to the whole idea of podcasts in general. Like I'd probably just started listening to them about like a year before we had the inception of the show. So I remember once Carl and I decided, okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do a video game music podcast. Let's talk about it. Because the thing about being a musician is like you have very strong opinions, and you guys know this from listening to our show. We have really strong opinions on the tracks that we love, and we're very passionate about it. As I'm sure someone like Eric from Kirby Dream
a lot
Band
of you guys too. Yeah, trust me, you guys are passionate. Some of the comments you guys
the cool
leave,
thing
very
is
passionate.
we wanted to do our own show, and so what we started off to do is we were going to say, okay, well, the first episode, just to show our own aesthetic, it should be our 10 best soundtracks of all time. And then immediately we scrapped that idea because we're like, there's no way that even you and I are going to be able to come to a
And what's funny is we didn't
consensus on
really
that.
have the format down of what the podcast would be. Really, for me, when I listen back, just for the record, it's really hard for us to listen to those early episodes. We've come, I think, such a long way.
Oh, sure.
So to listen to those, especially episode 1, is kind of painful.
Well,
I do want to play
it sped up. If you listen to it sped up, it's
I do
much
want
more
to actually
enjoyable.
play a couple seconds of the very beginning, just in case anyone hasn't heard, hearing the difference. But yeah, so let's do that right now. Let's play just a couple seconds of the very beginning.
Let's hear some of the growing pains.
Very first episode. Here we go.
Hello and welcome to the Super Marcato Bros. Video Game Music Podcast.
Thanks for joining us. My name is Carl Brueggemann.
And I'm his brother, Will Brueggemann.
This is the first episode of our video game music podcast.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, you guys. We got some good music to show you.
this podcast, we're going to be talking about what we consider it's just, there's no energy. It's completely dead.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the energy level has increased through
It's
time.
just your reverence for the music just
Yeah.
outweighed your.
So that's what
even
was
if you
fun.
listen to that first episode, it starts off just kind of like awkwardly. Oh my gosh, there's microphones, and it's just this weird thing doing a show because there's like this third person in the room, or in this case, fourth person in the room, but they're sort of silent, and we don't do the podcast live. So it's this weird dynamic. We're like talking in front of, a pseudo audience.
Right.
By the end of that first episode, I think we got some
I will
energy
say,
pickup.
episode 3, by that time, Mega Man, that was pretty much the format of the podcast that never really changed.
Episode 4, by the way.
Oh yeah, episode 3 was show and tell. Yeah, episode 4. I mean, at that point, and I will say, near the end of season 1, I feel really proud of those episodes. So
yeah,
I mean,
I'm proud of everything we've done. We've obviously grown a lot, but I really stand by all the choices that we've made. We've learned a lot more about video game music, about composers.
Oh yeah.
About how the darn sound chips and all these crazy consoles work.
There's a lot to know.
And it's just we've learned by doing. We jumped in head first, and I think we've come out of it more knowledgeable about the stuff that we love, and I've been so blessed, and we've both been blessed to share every minute of it with you guys.
Talking about being blessed, we've been blessed by you guys. You guys have been so great. Honestly, if it's not for you fans out there, we wouldn't still be doing this. I mean, we had a great time, but really the support that we get every week from you guys it makes us feel so good. So we just wanted to give a quick shout out to just some of our, I guess, biggest super fans out there that we hear from so much. If we don't mention you, feel free to maybe comment some more, and then we'll mention you next time. We just want to give quick shout-outs to Andrew, Phil, Simon, Ed, Darren, Lee, Brandon, S. Jean Reefer, and at Bador SNK. Just some of our fans that are just really interactive with us and have been very supportive. So in addition to those guys, everyone, we just want to give you a huge thank you.
Also, I'd like to mention Roy De Janeiro from sunny Germany. Yeah, he was one of the guys. I haven't heard from him in a while, but back when we were still on Blogger, he would leave comments on every episode, and he was just so supportive and encouraging. And I remember that was the moment when I realized, wow, our podcast that we're just doing in Carl's apartment is something that is reached around the world, and the fact that it could be enjoyed by someone that speaks a different language than me, that lives on an entirely other side of the planet, was very surreal.
Confusing because his name is Roy De Janeiro, which is eerily similar to Rio de Janeiro, but he's in Germany. Okay, so the last thing we want to do to kind of, have this, nostalgic look at our podcast is we're going to tell you guys the top 10 most popular episodes so far of our podcast. And kind of as a game for Marty, I want to see what he thinks.
So this is cold, hard data. It's
cold,
not
hard
opinions,
data.
right?
So it's not opinions. This is our most popular top 10 episodes. So Marty, what do you think... before I read you this, what do you think are I'll just say top 3. What do you think are the top 3 most popular?
I think probably the David Wise.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's got to be in there. I probably also think maybe the Peter McConnell. I'm guessing the Ocarina of Time episode, possibly the Spotlight. Boy, yeah.
Here we go.
I don't know.
And this will be, obviously, every week, it's going to be changing, but surprisingly a little bit different. Number 10, Final Fantasy. Number 9, Pokemon. Number 8, Capcom. Number 7, Kirby. Number 6, Sonic Volume 2. Number 5, Koji Kondo. Number 4, Ocarina of Time. Number 3, Legend of Zelda. Number 2, Mario Galaxy. And number 1, Yoko Shimomura.
Wow. Well, it's very well deserved. I mean, that's actually really encouraging to hear that the Yoko Shimomura episode.
Yeah. I think Dave Wise is 11 in LucasArts. They're very close. I think if you just look at the downloads of our actual MP3 files, LucasArts might be number 1.
Well, I think those episodes were really important for us because every time we do an interview, it brings a lot of exposure to the podcast and a lot of new listeners. In fact, I'm sure there's a lot of you watching or listening to this right now that were introduced through the Dave Wise interview that we put up on YouTube, or the Peter McConnell or the Tommy Tallarico interview. And those episodes were just so fun for us because, we got to talk to these people that we revere so much and that we've just loved ever since we were kids playing those games. So it's just been such an incredible journey for us. Carl, do you want to talk about some of our personal favorite episodes?
Yeah, one of my personal favorite episodes, one that was just so much fun to do, was the history of video game music. That was the start of our season 2, where we took a little bit more of a scripted look, something kind of like a radio show or something, and just went through the generations of video game music. I had a great time with that.
Yeah, Carl, do you want to talk a little bit? I remember when we were working on that, we sort of, we had one computer. Carl came over to my house, and we essentially were just writing these little, like, 3-paragraph essays for every console that we were talking about, and we pass it back and forth, so we decided who would get to do what console.
Absolutely.
And then he would pass me the computer, and I'd write my bit
so
about
like I did the Sega,
NES,
and then he did the SNES, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. But yeah, let's just take a quick listen to a few seconds of that episode right now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Nintendo quickly became aware that it was necessary to create new hardware that could compete with the Genesis. Their solution? The successor to the NES, a brand new 16-bit machine known as the Super Famicom in Japan and the Super Nintendo Entertainment System in the US. Now the war was on. Both consoles had comparable graphics and far more advanced 16-bit sound, but the way in which the Super Nintendo produced its soundtracks was far different from the Sega.
Yeah, so that was so fun to to prepare that episode. What about you, Will? What was your favorite episode, or one of your favorites?
There's
it's hard to pick.
So many. I've been thinking about it all day, really. I love the Human Touch episode. I think that was one I'm really proud of. I, like you, am very proud of that. I love the NES Evolution episode, but I gotta say, I think for me, my personal favorite episode, just objectively as far as the playlist, the music that we played, the game that we chose to talk about, and I think the way just it all came together, I think our analysis was very solid on that episode, and just it was a bunch of fun, is the Super Mario 64 episode. It's actually this season. It was in Nintendo month.
Great.
I remember when I listened to that, I'm just like, yeah, this is great. I feel so proud to be a part of a show where we get to like play some of the best music ever,
and it's one of our
talk
favorites.
about it, and add something to the experience of listening to that album, because at the end of the day, all we're really trying to do here on the show is play music that you'll enjoy and sort of simulate a really thorough musical conversation that we would just normally have about this music on a daily basis.
Right, so let's play just a couple, just a few seconds of that episode. But what's so great is it doesn't ever really end or begin. It's a perpetual chord progression that's perfect for a water level, because you're going to spend a long time in these levels. It's a little bit more slow-paced and beautiful, and it's kind of about stopping to smell the roses,
I think another cool thing is it showcases Koji Kondo's great jazz harmony and his knowledge of jazz and all those jazz chords, and his love of that, but also, again, it's not committing to a specific genre. Instrumentationally, it doesn't sound like jazz at all, but again, integrating all of his musical influences into this one package, it's like unlike anything you've ever heard, and it's so on the nose at the same time. It's just perfect.
Awesome. Well, Marty, we have to ask, what do you think is maybe one of your favorites?
Cool.
As a listener and as being involved
I
yourself.
feel so privileged because I have one foot in the brotherhood, and then I have one foot in kind of the fandom.
Right.
And, I've listened to every single episode. I listen to them in my car. I listen to them on my headphones. And, so I'm almost sort of like a proxy, like for the fans, I'd like to think. And I just got to say, I'm so amazed at the shows that you guys have done, the scope of them, and really how much you've grown in doing these episodes. My personal favorite, I'm biased, it's probably when we all got to do that Koji Kondo episode together, because that's kind of the genesis for so much of my own love for video game music, and it was fun to really honor him.
Well, before we play a little excerpt from that, I'd just like to once again give a shout out to the fans. You guys have just been incredible. We wouldn't be doing it if it weren't for you guys. And before we go, we have something surprise after that. But
when we come back from the Koji excerpt, we're gonna have something fun.
Yeah, I wanna once again just a huge thanks to Grant Kirkhope, Stephen Reich, Jaron Moore, Peter McConnell, Tommy Tallarico, and David Wise. Those have been our guests on the show, and they're really responsible for all the traffic that we've been getting recently, and they're responsible for bringing you guys some of our greatest fans.
They're responsible for a lot, we'll say that. So take a listen to this excerpt, and we'll be back.
it sounds so complete. You know, you never really are longing for more additional instrumentation.
Definitely. And last thing I'd say about this one is it's also really nice if you're kind of an amateur gamer like me when I first tried playing this game, because you'd hear this piece a lot because you die so often. But it was somehow really encouraging. Every time I died, I didn't feel so bad about it. It was like, oh, I want to jump right back into the adventure.
This would be a great piece if you're studying composition, to dissect every single note and how they flow together. It's just, we can't say enough about it. So
yeah, if anybody out there wants to write a thesis on this one, go ahead.